Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Delgadio, and I'm a Customer Success Technical Manager here at Let's Go Learn. Today, I want to go over the LGL 2.0 best practices. Recently we've upgraded our LGL Edge series to consolidate a lot of information into two different programs, and today I want to go over each one of those programs and how to best use them inside your classroom. So today, what we're going to do is we're briefly going to go over the AI cycle. We're going to review each of the LGL Edge programs. We're going to go over how to place students into the different instructional programs. And of course, we're going to go over some LGL Edge housekeeping and also some proper use of LGL Edge so that you can get the most out of the program. At Let's Go Learn, we always start with this AI cycle. And this AI cycle is something that you already do quite well, and a lot of educators already use this. And this A stands for assessment, and the I stands for instruction. And if you can notice from the arrows, the A, the assessment, should drive the individual instruction. And of course, at a later time, we should reassess the students to see how they're doing. You'll also notice that the standards are in the outside of the cycle. And at Let's Go Learn, we pay attention to the standards, but however, we're not blinded by them. Because always the goal is to go towards those standards at any point of time. At Let's Go Learn, we started as a diagnostic assessment, and this is where we fit in. We fill in those gaps, and what we do is we answer those why questions. Why are my students doing so well? And also, why are my students not doing so well? Now, before we go into the individual Edge programs, I want to briefly go into our website. In this LGL demo account, I want to go over two reports, and that's the DORA profile report as well as the ADAM instructional placement report. So currently, I'm in the DORA page. And in this page, in order to get to the class profile report, you click on Display Class Profile on the top right-hand side. And when you click on Display Class Profile Report, you're presented with this page. And on this page, you'll notice these bar graphs. And what these represent are numbers of students that fit different profiles here at Let's Go Learn. And what we do is we identify the students as low, or medium and high, in three different functions: decoding, vocabulary, and comprehension. If you click on the letter C, what this will do is it will break out the students that fit that profile. So for letter C, those students are strong in decoding, strong in vocabulary, but they still need a little bit more work on comprehension. If you scroll to the bottom, what we do is offer a fantastic narrative so that you can use that information to take the next steps with the students or to place it in the students' CUME folder. Now, moving over to ADAM, I want to go over how to access the instructional placement report. So when you first land on the ADAM page, you're presented with this page. In order to kind of dig deeper into the data, and today what I'm going to use is numbers and operations as an example. Under filters, I'm going to click on strand, and then I'm going to go to numbers and operations. And then click on filter. Now, what this will do is it will break up numbers and operations into its individual subtests. In order to get to the instructional placement report, we can dig in a little bit deeper. So today, I'm going to use the fractions as an example. In this gray bar, I'm going to click on fractions. And you can easily select another report or another strand if needed. And what we do with this report is we break up students on how they specifically did on fractions, and we give them an instructional starting point. Now, to read this report, you read it from the bottom up. So as soon as these students right here on the bottom, as soon as they're able to identify fractions using manipulatives as parts of a whole, then they should bunny hop one up to students who will compare fractions with the same denominator, and so on and so on. As with all of our reports here at Let's Go Learn, we have these great profile reports as well as individual reports. Now, going back to the conversation that we have at hand about Edge and using Edge, you can probably already tell that we have a lot of information at our disposal. And what we do at Let's Go Learn is we use that information to create a custom lesson plan for each individual student. And so what I want to do now is I want to go back to the slide deck and review each one of the instructional programs that we offer here at Let's Go Learn, and then come back to this page to learn a little bit more on how we can use LGL Edge 2.0 with fidelity. So what I'm going to do, let's go back to our slide deck. The first program we're going to cover today is ELA Edge. And this program consists of 260 plus lessons that covers grade ranges from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade and plus. Now, on one side of the spectrum, on the kindergarten side, we have a lot of lessons that focus on decoding. So we have letter recognition, sight words, phonics, etc. And on that 6th grade plus spectrum, we work on vocabulary development, which includes Greek and Latin root words, as well as reading comprehension strategies that they can use to comprehend the passages a little bit better. Now, the next things I want to show you are just a few screenshots of what students can expect within the program. Now, all of our Edge programs, they go through a similar pattern where a student is presented with an introduction of the content that they'll be learning. And then we offer some direct instruction that's usually in the mode of song, as well as high interest graphics. And then we move on to some questions that we ask the students in order to check for understanding. On the LGL Edge math spectrum, we cover concepts from K through 8th, which also includes pre-algebra and algebra. And here we have over 300 lessons that we have at our disposal so that we can place students in. And we do cover the 5 major math strands: numbers and operations, measurement, data analysis, geometry, and algebra. And we also go over some very specific constructs and concepts that are better suited for pre-algebra as well as algebra. So in order to break down LGL Edge as a whole, we use a games-based engine in order to intrinsically motivate the students. And this does drive students to optimally perform due to the high interest graphics. And it is a direct instruction as well as practice model. So as soon as the students learn the individual concepts, the students have to apply it with individual questions that we ask. And on that same note, along with those questions, we do offer immediate feedback. So if the student is answering a question and the student does get some incorrect, we will offer some feedback on what they got incorrect and help them, guide them to the correct answer. And more importantly, the students have their own learning path. As I mentioned before, what we do is we use our assessment information to create a custom lesson plan for each individual student. And each student is presented with a series of lessons, typically in the range of 50 and 60, so that they can then move forward and fill in those gaps that they may have. Now that we've gone over both ELA as well as Math Edge, the next thing that I want to do is I want to go and dig deeper into our programs so you can start learning a little bit more on how to apply and apply the LGL Edge at your classroom. So now we've moved back into our LGL demo account, and we're still under the Dora tab, or the Assessments and Dora page. So in order to access the instructional components, you click on Instruction and click on Edge 2.0. And once this page loads, what we do is we're presented with both ELA and Math Edge. And once again, this is a demo account, so we do have access to both instructional programs. And you will only see the instruction that your site purchased. Now, if we can just quickly frame our thoughts and kind of visualize where we are in the Let's Go Learn implementation, so far we have already assessed our students. We had them go through either one of our instruction or assessment programs, which is Dora, Adam, or a DOMA program. We now have information within the Assessments tab, and a lot of you have already used that information to create custom lesson plans or small group instructions for each individual student. Now, some of your students may be working on one of the Edge programs. Maybe you have already identified those students. So where we are now is we want to place students or enroll them into one of the instructional programs. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to pick on Devin, and we're going to enroll that student into ELA Edge. Now, as I said before, this is a demo account, and we do have some old data because it does say that Devin has been assessed over 120 days ago. You know, at Let's Go Learn, we definitely recommend for the students to have a more recent assessment so that we can accurately find out where their current strengths and weaknesses are, and then give them the appropriate instructional lessons. And once again, if it does say that the student has an assessment over 120 days old, we definitely recommend to take either the Dora, Adam, or one of the DOMA programs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to enroll Devin into ELA Edge. And in order to do this, under the Assignments column, we simply click on Enroll. And when you click on Enroll, what you'll notice are some lessons that are checked off and they're highlighted in blue. And the reason why those are highlighted in blue is because we've identified for Devin that this is an area of weakness for him, and we want to make sure we target those. And you'll notice that your students will be on a specific tab. So currently for Devin, we are under a kindergarten tab. And we can easily go to the different tabs to see what are some of the lessons that they recommend for Devin. Now, as an educator, you still have the liberty of changing any of the lesson plans as you deem necessary. So if you want Devin, for example, to work on, let's say, rhyming words, you're able to easily add that lesson in. And after you make all the adjustments that you need, you simply click on Enroll Student. And when you click on Enroll Student, you're pretty much done. Now, the student gets to log in using their username, password, and school code to start accessing some of those lessons. What I want to do now is I want to take a step back and just do a tour of this Edge page so we can learn a little bit more about it. As I mentioned before, we have both the ELA and Math Edge under one page. And we have the student's first and last name so we can quickly identify them. We have when was the last time they're assessed, and also we have the qualifications. You know, sometimes it will say that a student is not recommended. And in those cases, when it's not recommended, that just means that the student is at or above their grade level, And overall, there's no lessons that would qualify for that individual student. Next, you'll notice that it says last played. So as educators, we want to make sure that the students are working on the program in a consistent basis. And we want to keep an eye on this data to ensure that the students are in fact working. We'll touch more on some of the usage in a few seconds. Under assignments, we've already gone over the enroll, which was the most important thing. But also, now for Devin, we notice that it now says edit instead of enroll. If we click on edit, what we do is we actually see the student's lesson plan. So we see all of the lessons that were assigned to him. Once again, those are in blue are the ones that we absolutely recommend based off of the student's door information. And those in white are ones that you've added at a later time. Now, this format is great. We're able to see how the student did. And also, more importantly, we're able to see some information on when was the last time they played that individual lesson, times played, minutes played, and also the score that they received. Now, if you need to get into another way of viewing this data, or if you want to add more lessons, on the top right-hand side, you click on Grade View. And this Grade View brings you back to that view which we were previously looking at. So here you're able to click on the different grades and then add any lessons that are necessary for the student. After you make any adjustments, you scroll to the bottom of the page and click on Save Changes. And after you go to Save Changes, it does bring you right back to the instructional page. Now moving to the right once again, the next column is Enrolled With. And in Enrolled With, you're able to see the individual assessment that was used and the date of the assessment was taken. So that way it puts it a little bit more into context what was the frame of that student's instructional programs. Next over, we have course status. So at any point, you may turn on and off the program as you deem necessary. So there are some situations in which you may want to turn off the program, and you're able to do so from this page. Additionally, you'll notice that there's a little bit more information on top, where it says enroll and also usage. I'm going to click on usage, and just so you can see a little bit more information. Now, this page is fantastic because what it does, it gives you how a student has been working. So we notice that all of these students have worked in one way or another. So we have the total usage in hours, we have the number of lessons attempted, how many the students have actually completed, and also unique lessons completed. And what unique lessons completed means is that the student may be assigned 50 lessons. However, if a student, let's say, worked on lesson 1 4 times, it's only counted as 1 to show you the unique lessons that they've completed. Additionally, you have their average score. This average score will show you what percentage they're getting as a whole in the different instructional programs. Additionally, you're actually able to see how they're progressing within each individual component, either English Language Arts or Math Edge. Now, if you click on, we'll click on this Math Edge one, and here we're able to drill in a little bit deeper on how they're working on with the instructional component. So we're able to see not only their score, how many minutes it played, but also if they completed it or not. Now, this always brings up a great question from teachers is, how much do you expect the students to be working on the program? And overall, we hope that the students are working at minimum 2 to 3 hours a week. It totally depends on each individual site. However, we want to make sure that the students are consistently and constantly working on the individual program. Now, taking a step back into this usage page, you're also able to change the date range on the top of the page. So let's say you want to look at how the students did last week, or in the past 2 weeks. You're able to select October 3rd all the way to October 18th, and then click on Apply, and then Filter. And what this will do is it will show you some information on how they're working on with this individual time frame. And the reason why I show you this is because some sites have an initiative that the students have to work on the program for a minimum of 3 hours a week. This way, we're able to see how the students are progressing with that individual goal. Additionally, on this page, you also have the ability to look at individual courses. So if you do have access to both ELA and Math Edge, and you only want to see how students are progressing with Math Edge, you can simply click on Math, and then what that will do is it will pull up only those math courses that the students are working on. And additionally, on this page, you also notice that you have the ability to click on Manage. And under Manage, you click on Edit. And what this will do is it will bring you right back to the ability to assign the student different lessons by grade view or by a linear view that's being shown previously. So going back to the instructional page, what we've done is we've gone over on the assignments and how to enroll students. We've learned on how to edit a student's course if necessary. And we've also touched on usage, and we also talked about how many hours a student should be working, and also more importantly, always keeping track of those hours. Overall, we do recommend for educators to check on usage at least once a week, or if not, once every 2 weeks to ensure that the students are working. And once again, if you do identify a student that hasn't been working, that's a great opportunity to get the student back into the program and have them continue with their lessons. Now, the last thing that I want to touch on before we go back into the slide deck and conclude this presentation is a situation, a few months from now. So a few months from now, you may decide to reassess your student in either Dora, Adam, or one of the DOMA programs. And you may want to give your students a new lesson plan depending on how they did with those new assessments. And this is the last thing that I'm going to show you today within our interface. So let's pick on Devin still. And in order to get the student into a new lesson plan, what you have to do is you click on Edit under Assignments. And when you click on there, you're presented back with this page that you're used to. And then instead of click on Save Changes, we want to close course. And it pretty much says, do you want to terminate the instruction? Now, I do want to mention that any information that of the student's existing instructional program, that information is still going to be kept in the system. We'll still retain that. However, for this purpose, we want to terminate the course. after you terminate the course, you'll notice that it says enroll again. Now, if they had a new assessment that the student took, a new DORA assessment, it will show up right here, and then we can simply click on enroll again. And when we click on enroll again, what it will do is it will have a brand new lesson plan for the student, and what we'll be doing is looking at the assessment that the student just previously took. You'll notice that now there are nothing in blue, but if the student had taken an assessment, it will give them some new instructional programs. And so overall, we've gone over all the important housekeeping information in order to get your students up and going, and also monitoring your students' use of the program. The last thing we're going to do, we're going to go back to the slide deck to conclude this presentation. So a great question that's always asked is, when do we use LGL Edge 2.0? And a lot of sites that we've talked to, and we've actually asked this question, is they use them in a few places. They use them in the classroom. So if you do have any computers in the back of the classroom, even if it's 3 or 4, this will give those students that need a little bit of extra help that edge that they need. Also, a lot of sites use us in a before and after school arena. We definitely understand that sometimes the day is already packed, and sometimes using it before and after school is a great place to use LGL Edge. Other sites, what they do is they actually use our program as homework. And so for some students, if they do have the computers as well as internet at home, they're able to give LGL Edge for homework. And also, this is a fantastic thing for intervention. So since we do use the assessment information to create a custom lesson plan, a lot of our sites, they use us as intervention to fill in those gaps that students may have to help them get to the next level. And so results. Results is always a question that's asked. For those students that are really behind, so maybe those students that are between 1 to 2 years and more below grade level, what we typically see is a growth of 0.75 to a year's growth in 30 hours of instruction. And once again, the reason why we have seen these numbers in the past is because we're targeting only the students' weaknesses that they may have, so we're filling in those gaps so that once they get back to the classroom, they're able to catch up with the rest of the population. And overall, questions about how to progress the program. So within the LGL Edge program, we give students different designations depending on how they did the lesson. So for bronze, that's 75% to 90%. Silver is 91% to 95%, and gold is 96% and above. So with the program, we typically recommend for students to do the lessons all throughout. So go through lessons 1 through lessons 50. And we want the students to at least score a 75% and 90% going towards the end of the program. And then at a later time, we want them to go back, score the 91 to 95 and 96 and above, so they can get a much higher designation in all those lessons. And as soon as the students receive a 75% and 90 on all the lessons assigned to them, they will have the ability to print up a certificate, of a bronze certificate, and then if they receive all of the lessons 91 to 95, they'll get a silver, etc., etc. More or less, that's an extra motivation to help the students move forward. And a lot of sites, what they do is they actually put up a big board of students who are scoring bronze, silver, and gold with all the lessons. And as they move up from bronze to silver, or from silver to gold, they're able to move their names to the individual designations to kind of motivate the students as well as the entire class to move forward. And overall, I want to thank you for attending today's presentation of LGL Edge 2.0. If you do have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us either by going to our website or emailing us at help@letsgolearn.com, or you can call customer support, or if you have an individual customer success specialist that you already chat with, feel free to reach out to them to ask any more questions. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.